Hi, I'm Roger Narayan, and you are watching Cinema Rendezvous. I had relegated myself to Hollywood because I trained in San Francisco. Los Angeles was the closest large industry because New York and Los Angeles is where basically all TV and film happen. And I'd done some theater, but given the schedule and really, having done some film, I actually fell in love with film and just acting for film and performing for film. And with that background, I had sort of relegated myself and said, there's nothing happening in India. Might as well just stay here and make a career and just work. And which is very satisfying. It's very, very wonderfully set up industry because it's very organized. It's all to the T. It's all set up. But then, the stories that are being told there are not our stories. So so the characters, there's the occasional lead role or the occasional supporting role, but you don't have that kind of steady sort of opportunity to dig into your characters and because I've done over a dozen TV shows there, How I Met Your Mother, House MD, NCIS, there's a long list, and Bold and the Beautiful, Young and the Restless for all the people who are fans of the soaps. It's fun to do all those things, but to dig into a character for a feature-length film is a whole other high, I think, to just inhabit that character. So the last few years I started noticing some interesting stuff happening in Bombay and in Chennai and Bangalore. It's this very hatke se, very different filmmaking, interesting stories, very organically told, not necessarily the super high budget, sort of mid to lower range budgets, but we're doing very, very well critically and with the audience. And I started exploring what's going on here, and that's when I started coming to India a lot. That's when I did the Hindi feature film. But so U-turn happened in succession to that. So when I was in Bangalore, I visited Pawan, and he said, I'm thinking of this thing, and he gave me the script. And I was just getting on a plane right after. So I literally opened up the PDF and I read the script. By the time I got down an hour later, I called him and said, dude, let's do this. This is awesome. So that's what U-turn was. So that's how U-turn happened, and it was a blast. So this is a cop who is very dignified, but can be tough when he needs to be. Can be diplomatic with his superiors, with politicians that call in favors or whatever. That can be tender with the woman that is asking for help, and is a very upright, very kind of aspirational citizen. So Pawan and I had talked about the character briefly after I read the script, and then I said, okay, I need to actually, because I like to do my research and really get into the real world and see what really it is, and not kind of caricature it based on other performances on film or something like that. So there's this place called Baswangudi in Bangalore. There's a police station that's kind of in the heart of the city. So I actually met the police inspector there, very wonderful gentleman, Shashidhar, and he's kind of partially, not wholly, partially somebody that I based the character on. This really, really inspiring gentleman, who's with two smartphones, texting on one, talking on the other. This guy is getting done more work in a day than most of us do in a month, I felt. Just watching him work and how he got things done. And just the way he interacted with different people, his staff, how he would kind of talk to them as his subordinates. Him being in the civil section, a traffic inspector coming in at his level, how he would talk to a colleague, how he would take this call from a politician about requesting extra security for the elections or whatever, because I think it was time that some by-elections or something were happening. And also just dealing with criminals, criminals brought in and how it's appadi konjam merati pesradhu adella. So it was really cool to watch him switch all this within a matter of a minute, 10 seconds here, 20 seconds there, 30 seconds here. He's a different person, I'm man, this guy's a schizophrenic and inhabiting all these different characters to achieve specific goals, because he has to do this to kind of achieve the objectives he has. So I just kind of sat in the corner. He was amazing. He said, don't stay as long as you want, do whatever you want. So I just went and sat in the corner, just observed everything that was going on, and kind of just soaked it in. So that was kind of the preliminary kind of seeding of what I wanted to do with the character. Then I went away and did research also, because Pawan had also templated this based on a couple of other characters. One of the things that he loved most was the Shotyuki character in Kahani. But the character Shotyuki is very, very mellow and soft, and there's also these kind of instances where we feel like maybe something's going to happen between them, right? So Pawan had told me that. So he said the audience should feel like something can happen between this person who needs help and this police person, so this police guy. So that's one of the things, layers that he had given me. The other idea he had given me was Black Friday. So KK Menon plays his inspector in Black Friday. That Pawan said, okay, you know what, that's also something that I'm looking at. This kind of very dignified but very focused kind of, you know, police inspector thing. So these are some of the kind of little kind of crumbs that I took to kind of make the breakfast of the character. But then, you know, at the end of it, you know, I do believe in inhabiting my character. I do believe in the method a lot, method acting as such. At the end of it though, you know, I remember something that my mentors used to say, and something that Meryl Streep says all the time, you know, okay, it's time to play now. So it's time to let go of all of this work and research and create something that's fresh and something that's organic, that somebody looking at it feels relatable, that feels that it's somebody I could meet tomorrow or somebody I met yesterday. It should feel like that. So that's my goal always, is the research and all that is great, but after that you just let everything go and you kind of dig deep into your imagination and into everything that you think of in your psyche as this character traits would be, and go for that. So that's pretty much what I did to create the character. It was not rehearsed at all. Yeah, it was all completely fresh. We had one chance to maybe try it once before the actual take, which I wouldn't call rehearsal. I mean, I would assume your intention in using that word would be ahead of time, like a week or a few days ahead of time. That we didn't do. So which is actually very good. And also Pawan is very brilliant, because the script that I'm talking about that I read is actually just a screenplay. It has no dialogues in it. It's just purely just the progression of scenes. So you know what's happening, and literally he writes the dialogues the day of or the previous day. So you actually don't have a chance to rehearse, which I think is a double-edged sword. So if it's a very involved, heavy thing, you want to be able to rehearse it, so you explore, kind of shades and layers of things that you need to find beforehand. On the other hand, it can lose some freshness if it's too rehearsed. So there's a balance between how much you should rehearse and how much you shouldn't, depending on the piece and the genre and the material and the heaviness of the material itself. So with that in mind, we didn't get a chance to rehearse, but he's so great about literally just going. Literally, we would be set up, ready to shoot, and he'd go into the corner and literally write the dialogues for the scene, bring it and say, this is what it is. So we'd just look it over and kind of play with it, like do just one rehearsal in that way, like literally a few minutes before the take, and then he's like, okay, yeah, let's shoot, and then that's how we did it. So it also gives you a lot of room to literally be on edge in a good way, so that you're not anticipating things or already expecting somebody to say something. Things can go anywhere, and it's very precarious, and I think it's a very visceral, organic joy to be in that place.